Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about how Star Trek Voyager 7 and 9 went from one of the best Star Trek characters to one of the most, I don't want to necessarily say worse, but let's just say she's no longer awesome as she used to be, thanks to that of CBS Trek and Star Trek Picard. Let's just say she went downhill. But anyways, 7 of 9, Annika Henson. See, back when Star Trek Voyager was on, the first 3 seasons didn't fare that well with fans, and they needed something to boost ratings. So they decided to bring in a new character. They decided to go back to the old school Star Trek of like overly sexualized women. And so they brought in Jerry Ryan. Jerry Ryan is a very tall, very gorgeous woman with long flowing blonde hair, big puppy dog eyes, and a huge certain body parts that I'm not even gonna say. And so they stuck her in like a cat suit doing the whole Diana Troy thing. One of the women who was executive producers on the show, she fought really hard to get Diana Troy out of the cat suit and put her in the Star Trek uniform, only to put 7 of 9 in another cat suit. And so, because of that, ratings got boosted. Probably some other things too. But anyways, but with the introduction of 7 of 9, another character had to leave the show. They decided to get rid of Kes. They were going to get rid of Ensign Kim, but Garrett was considered one of the hottest men in Hollywood at that time, so they kept him. And so some people, this caused a little bit of controversy through some people, especially that of the woman who played Captain Janeway. She was upset by this, and she felt everything that she worked so hard to be like a strong and powerful woman got taken away with the introduction of like huge boobs in a cat suit. But but like I said, it did boost the ratings and stuff. And it also helped because Jerry was dating one of the executive producers, Brian Braga, I think, at that time, from what I've read. Now, as a teenager watching this, of course, who didn't love 7 of 9? Like, she looked so like amazing. But that was just like the cherry on top. Seven was actually a very interesting character. She raveled that and is on par with that of Commander Data and Spock. Like, and that's something people took for granted. But then when people who actually watched the show, they realized that, yeah, she was brought in for eye candy, but Seven proved to be more than just another hot body in a cat suit. Seven was a highly intelligent person. Why? Because she was assimilated by the Borg at a young age. When she was 9 years old, her family decided to travel to the Delta Quadrant in search of the Borg because they were very fascinated by the Borg because of what happened and that of Captain Jean-Luc Picard being assimilated into that of Locutus of Borg. And so they was very fascinated by Borg, and they traveled all the way into the Delta Quadrant. And they managed to like escape and evade the Borg and become unnoticed by them until they started being a thorn in the Borg's backside, and the Borg assimilated them. Seven was then placed, I think, like in a maturation chamber until she was that of adult age, and she became a Borg. Because of that, she now gained the knowledge of thousands of species and all the intelligence that they had. When Janeway made a peace treaty with the Borg, they later turned on her and they severed ways with the Borg and acquiring that a 7 of 9. When Seven was first unassimilated, they gave her a very, very cool, dramatic, deep, emotional like journey to her still being Borg and that becoming human, something she never wanted to do, but Janeway forced that upon her. And so when you watch the episode, the only episode, well, it's one of 2 episodes that have, well, actually it's a couple with her and Kes, but they never really make contact. They only make contact many seasons later in Fury. But So, like, we see this very traumatizing, like, experience in one episode where she still has her Borg implants on, but she's half human looking too. And Janeway is trying to tell her, you've been disconnected from the Borg. We are not sending you back. You are a human. You are from Earth, and we are going to help you regain your humanity, something the Borg took from you. And Seven is very defiant in all of this. And she refuses to become that of like human, thinking that it's like a disease, thinking it's a curse. And, because she's been brainwashed her entire life, and now Janeway is trying to re-educate her to the best of that of her ability. And so it's very, very powerful episode to where even Seven gets so angry she tries to attack Janeway, but she later succumbs to that of who she used to be when Janeway starts telling her of the person she used to be. Towards the end, we see her now looking fully human with only a few Borg implants on her cheek, above her eye, and her wrist. And she's wearing like this, I think a gray catsuit outfit, which was given to her by the doctor and everything. But her hair, because we'll talk about the doctor a little bit later. And her hair is now rolled up in that of a bun, that of like Starfleet standards. And so throughout the rest of the series, she's still going by 7 of 9. She can't find herself to be called Annika Hansen. She feels like Annika just doesn't exist no more, and she has been 7 of 9 her nearly her entire life. So they decided to keep that name for her, but then they shortened it to like 7. Through this, we get to see the progression of 7 of 9. 7 of 9 is basically a child in that of a grown body. She has the instinctive knowledge of other species and this and that, and but she doesn't necessarily know how to apply things. She's very much the Spock and Data in the sense of let's first go back to Data. Let's forget about Spock for right now. She's very much like that of like Data. She's basically like an android, a machine that wants to be human. And so with Data, it was hard because he is fully machine. He can be humorous, he can be lively, but he doesn't understand the concept of it or have a true feeling of that of emotion until he gets his emotional chip. Seven is half human, half cyborg, and she wants to regain her humanity. But it's like she can't express emotion. She doesn't know necessarily how. The Borg wipes that from people's memories, and think it's irrelevant. And so like she has a hard time fitting in, let's put it that way. It's like she's that new kid in school and nobody wants to be associated with her, and she doesn't understand. She's like the foreigner who goes to like a different country and doesn't understand the language in which and the culture in which she is in. And all of this is being like thrown at her all at once, and it's a bit overwhelming. She thinks she gets a grasp on it, but she realizes she doesn't. And so like that's one thing that makes her very unique and interesting. It's like she is the child who is trying to be re-educated. She has all this intelligence in her head, but it doesn't matter because she doesn't understand something as simple as humor, or something as simple as wanting to eat a meal for satisfaction and not for nutritious value. Um, but she is helped along the way. She is helped by that of both the Doctor and Captain Janeway. Captain Janeway is like a mother figure to her. And those two clash throughout the entire series because Seven is very impulsive. And Janeway has to like reprimand her and put her in line and let her know that, hey, this is not right. Just because you're feeling these emotions don't mean you get to like carry them out, and there are rules that you have to abide by and stuff. She has to learn that, when something is broken on the ship, you just don't go and fix it because there are protocols, intended, to prevent certain like things from getting worse than what they are. There's an engineering team for that. She has to learn that revenge is not satisfying. She has to learn that fear is a human emotion that you cannot get away from. And just because you are afraid does not mean you are inferior, which was something great in like a couple of episodes that showed that, because it showed when she was still Borg, she was afraid when her and some other drones got disconnected. She was so afraid that she basically violated the other drones and reforced them back into the collective. And so there's a great episode called One where she's basically on the ship by herself with the doctor because everybody else is in stasis, and then he's malfunctioned and got taken offline, and now she's hallucinating throughout the ship, and she has to make it through this nebula because the whole crew is counting on her to the point where she's willing to sacrifice herself by cutting off life support to the entire like ship just to make it through the nebula and everything. And Voyager becomes her new family or her collective, as she says. And so, like, and it's cool because we get to see her through her journey of becoming more human and stuff, accepting. She makes friends. She actually starts to date and everything. And she has a hard time doing that. So she does it in secret on the holodeck. And she even has like her own frenemy like and two sisters in the name of Balana Torres. Her and Balana they hate her like because she's Borg, and Seven just like, well, you need to get over that and stuff. And so like when it comes to that species 8472, a species that she hates and fears because they're really the only true species that can destroy the Borg, when one is stranded on her ship, she wants nothing more but to kill it. And Janeway is all like, you cannot do that. This is a living creature. It is wounded. Even though it is our enemy, we must give it compassion. She does not understand that. And then so when this hunter, a very ferocious species, wants that alien, she is willing to give it up just to save the crew. And this angers Janeway to where Janeway, for the first time, punishes her. And so she doesn't understand. She's all like, you forced me into humanity. You forced me to feel this and feel that. And now when I do something that goes against what you want, you punish me. See, she doesn't quite understand that because she still has the mindset of that of a child who does not understand. And not to mention, like, she is, like I said before, highly intelligent. Introducing the Borg in the fourth season was one of the best things Star Trek Voyager ever did, and it is because of Seven of Nine. Her intelligence was able to save the crew on multiple occasions and stuff because of her Borg implants. And the use of Borg technology that they acquired, that they infused into their ship, helped the ship do things that no other starship was able to do. It was able to go faster. They was able to improve their weapons, their shields. Um, the possibilities, my God, of it, like the technology aspect of the show went leaps and bounds and stuff. And that's all because of her. And so I might as well talk about the doctor for now. So the doctor he was kind of like a mentor to her, but he ended up crushing on her, kind of like a teacher. You know what I'm talking about. And so, like, he wanted to start a romantic relationship with her, but she did not reciprocate those feelings. She could have in her earlier, like, if this would have been season 4, she would have because she didn't quite understand. Because when Harry had a crush on her, she was ready to start making out with him because she thought that's what humans are just supposed to do and stuff. And so, but after so many seasons and learning what she wants and able to make decisions for herself, she realized the doctor is a great person, but she does not want him in a relationship type thing. And she never judged, well, she used to judge him because he was a hologram, but then she learned to accept him for like what he is and stuff. And then she started this weird relationship with Chakotay of all things. And so back to the technology aspect of it, like there were times when she malfunctioned and everything, and she had to be fixed. And when she did, she could not handle it. Like a lot of her implants are starting to shut down, and or they're being affected by like a Borg type device that was like infected with like a virus. And we get to see that horrifying, traumatic state in her where fear is starting to set in. She's starting to feel like she is that of irrelevancy. And they have to remind her you are an important aspect of the crew. And then she ends up becoming like a mother figure. First, she makes her own child by mistake because her Borg implants assimilated DNA tissue of like Ensign McCahey and the doctor's 29th century mobile emitter, and it creates a Borg drone. This is essentially her child, and so she's trying to teach her child the ways of being human, but all he wants to know is more about the Borg, to the point where he accidentally contacts them and everything. And it's one of those frightening things that we now see Seven does not want to encounter the Borg. Long time ago she wanted to, but now she doesn't because she fears of being reassimilated. And when her son sacrifices himself to save the crew, she is distraught by this. She wants to cry, but she can't. I think she's unable to and everything. So she's having all these emotions going through, and she's just staring at herself in the mirror because she was doing like a mirror technique where she was trying to learn different emotional techniques by like smiling and grinning in the mirror. And you know, deep down inside, all she wants to do is cry, but her Borg implants are preventing that and stuff. And not to mention, she has also fallen in love with other people and stuff, like in Unimatrix Zero One, where she was hooked up to like her alcove, and next thing you know, she was tapped into this weird like dreamlike state with other Borg that were trying to break away from the collective and stuff. And there she fell in love with a man who she's no longer able to be with because he's far, far, far in another part of the quadrant and stuff. And I remember in the last couple of scenes before the Unimatrix got destroyed, because um, it was basically being destroyed. And if you were to be in there while it's being destroyed, you'd be taken too. But she risked all that just to see her lover for one last time and say goodbye to him. And not to mention, back to about the kid aspect of it, she adopted like 4 former Borg drone kids, and Egypt became her favorite one. And so he was even willing to sacrifice himself to like help save her life, even though she forbid him from like doing it. So it's like throughout the course of Seven of Nine's life on Voyager, she has went through the ups and downs of like, you know, trying to be human and everything, to the point where she was even willing to sacrifice her own self to become Borg again so that the Borg Queen will leave Voyager alone, only to have Voyager rescue her. That was an eye opener for her. And it's funny because in what was it? In those 4 years she was on Star Trek on Voyager, that all got taken away within just a couple of minutes of Star Trek Picard. Oh, and I forgot she became like a big sister figure to that of Naomi. Naomi was originally terrified of Seven, but then because Naomi was very curious, she became very intrigued by Seven. And at first, Seven was like very annoyed by her, but then they grew to like really respect and like each other. And you know, and we see that motherly big sister feel, of course, when she is in Star Trek Picard when it comes to Egypt, but it's very minimal and everything. It's a very quick scene because he's being tortured, and then you know what happens after that. In my opinion, CBS Trek and Star Trek Picard, the series, ruined that of Seven of Nine. Seven of Nine is no longer that woman she strived to be when she was on Voyager, topped by that of the Voyager crew and Janeway. Seven has changed a lot. When we first see her, she is on like being attacked by this alien species, and then she meets up with Picard. We find out what she's been up to. Now, Voyager has been canceled for about 20 years or so. And so, okay, what has happened to Seven of Nine in these 20 years? When we saw that she was going to be on Star Trek Picard, the anticipation went through like the roof. Is she going to look human? Is she going to act human? What's going to be some of her favorite things to do in life? Is she in Starfleet? Like, the possibilities were endless. And then we found out none of that stuff that we was hoping happened. Why? Because CB Trek is very depressing and very dark and gritty. Seven of Nine has decided she's not even want to be in Starfleet, which is bizarre and odd because when she was on Voyager, that's what she was basically part of the crew. You assume she would have been in Starfleet. She is very highly intelligent. She lived amongst like Starfleet officers. I don't and so I think she said she used to be in Starfleet, but then she quit. And it's just like, why? Why did you quit? Seven of Nine's intelligence was so vital to that of Starfleet, so one would assume she would stay with it to help further them and everything. But of course, this is Alex Kurtzman and whatever the other dude is, so they don't care about that. Basically, she has now joined like this type of group. I forgot their names, but they're kind of like the space Amazons that seek out justice for those who have been wronged and stuff. And so now we see her appearance has changed. Thankfully, she's no longer wearing that cat suit, but she is wearing her hair down. So she is becoming more human because when she was on Voyager, she wore her hair in a bun because she felt that was like standard issue. And felt like, since she's Borg and this is a Starfleet ship, she should like, wear her hair that way. So now she's wearing it down and she's being more flowy, like human and stuff, more fluid and stuff. Sadly, she still has her implants on her. And it's like, why? 20 years has passed, technology has advanced, and why not remove those? Well, of course, they kept it on her just so fans remember who she is. And I remember the doctor even told her, like, he can remove her implants, but it will risk like doing like damage to you and everything. But she didn't care. She wanted the procedure. I think also it would cause her to lose some of her like humanity or something like that, like these emotions that she was feeling in Voyager when she started to fall in love, because her Borg implants prevent that from happening. But technology advances. They could have found a way around that. The writers could, and they chose not to. So now she still looks like that of like what she kind of did in Voyager with the implants that are still on her, which is quite a shame because I wanted to see her look fully human. She is dressing in regular clothes. However, she's dressing in very drab, very muted, very dark colors because her attitude is now dark and muted and stuff because this is CBS Trek. When she was on Voyager, she talked very like proper. She talked very intelligent. She even had a bit of a sense of humor to her, but not in the ha 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 Tom Paris kind of way. More like in the Data Spock kind of way when they will say something, not understand something, and it comes off as being humorous. And now all of this is just gone. Also, Seven is a very vengeful woman. She will kill you if you wrong her, which is something Janeway taught her not to do. And there was a couple of lessons of that in Voyager, where Janeway tells her, taking a life is not like our way, and that's something Gene Roddenberry thing is. Earth is supposed to be a utopia. They're not supposed to just go around killing folks unless it's in like battle and stuff. And Janeway has taught her that revenge is not the way to live our lives. And all of that got taken away as soon as she joined this new group. Now she is angry and vengeful and everything. And so she has explored her relationships, her sexuality. Now she is like bisexual. We haven't seen, I don't know what's been going on in Star Trek Picard season 2 because I haven't watched it yet. So I don't know if I can't talk about that aspect of her life. I can talk about that of season 1. In season 1, she had a relationship with a very bad woman. Why would she date this bad woman? This woman is like a con artist and everything. Seven should have known better, but they just made her into the dumb like stereotypical blonde like girl who dates like the bad type person, you know. And so this woman was harvesting former drones and taking out their implants, and she did it while they were still alive with no anesthetic. And Egypt was one of those people who prayed victim to this, and he got tortured like crap, having his implants just ripped out. Seven found this out, and she killed the people performing surgery on him, and she was just taking them out left and right with like phasers and stuff. And then Egypt, he was in so much pain, there was no way he could survive that. She had to put him down, and this was very traumatic for her. But it has that of an emotional weight because she had to put down her adoptive son. But it's kind of hard to feel truly sympathetic for her when we see her just going around angry and killing people and this and that, and we don't get to see their like mother-daughter relationship progress. And so like um so then when she's on Picard's ship, she's a very moody person. And it's just like, what happened to Seven of Nine? Well, of course, we don't really know because the show won't really tell us and everything. And she still goes by Seven of Nine. She doesn't even go by her human name. And this is, of course, because the writers are like, hey, remember her from Voyager? Remember how she went by this name? Well, the fans are going to love this. But no, we want to see her use her real name and everything. Just like we want to see her with her implants off, because if they're not going to do anything special with her implants, there's no point for her having them on. And it would be nice if she dresses a little bit more colorful and everything, but she doesn't. She dresses in these dark, depressing type of clothes. And so when she finds the woman who her ex who's performing all this stuff, she kind of tricks Picard a little bit into like going down there, and because she just wants revenge on the mind. And of course she murders this woman. Instead, is she supposed to be a freedom fighter? Then why didn't she bring this woman to justice? I'll tell you why. Because she is a changed, angry woman who just wants to kill people now. And the next person who she killed was this Romulan lady who pretended to be a Starfleet officer, a woman who screwed around with the board. This pissed Seven of Nine off. Oh, you mess with my people, I'm gonna mess with you and everything. So since the woman, like, this don't make no sense. The woman went on the board cube and she's trying to kill like the good guys, this and that. But then to distract Seven of Nine, she pretty much throws all the Borg out of an airlock, which technically they should be okay because the Borg. Oh no, it wasn't Borg. It was former Borg drones. Yeah, that's right. So it wasn't the Borg. It was no. Actually, it was the Borg, I think, because there was still Borg on the ship that got reactivated. That's right. And so she threw them out the airlock, but they should have survived because Borg can pretty much survive almost any atmosphere, and they have internal like their own personal like force field. This pisses Seven off, and she wants to now kill this woman. Also, because this woman killed. I can't talk. Killed Hugh, the former Borg drone from Star Trek Next Generation. And so since she killed Hugh and everything, now Seven is on the warpath. And she fights this woman and she murders this woman. And it's just kind of like, dude, when did you become a murderer? Like, in so many instances in Voyager, she learned not to kill. And there were times where she was in that like MMA type fighting thing, and the dude tells her, kill me, he wants a worthy death. She would not do that. She would not grant him his wish because she knows living is precious and everything. And there's been other times where she wanted to like kill people, but then learned that was the wrong thing to do. And now all of a sudden she just murders people left and right who she has a problem with. And so it's just kind of like all that moral lessons, all that progression, all that like teaching just went down the drain once she went on the CBS show. And it's hard to be a fan of hers now. She is not that same woman she used to be. I get it, 20 years you changed, but my God, that like drastically and everything, it's just like that don't make no sense. And we still don't know much about like what she likes to do because they won't, because CBS doesn't do that. CBS doesn't tell us, oh, well, she likes to go here for vacation. She likes this kind of music or this kind of food or this and that. Like, we don't know nothing about her. All they just want to show her as is a vengeful, killing murderer and everything. Not only that, but what happened to her intelligence level? On Star Trek Picard, it has been a while since I saw the first season. I don't remember her doing anything really scientific that she used to do when she was on Voyager. It's almost like all her intelligence just went out her head and everything. And so, like, what happened to it? There are situations they could have used her intelligence, and they don't. And it's just like, why is she here? Fan service and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like she's no longer this intelligent person. She no longer has a moral center. She's angry, she's vengeful, she's a murderer. And it's just like they downgraded her whole character and ruined her and stuff. And this is what CBS has done to Star Trek. They have ruined Star Trek. It was a utopia, now it's a dystopia and everything. And it's quite a shame. She is one of the best characters in Star Trek history. And because we got to see her grow and progress. And now all that growth and progression is this done. It's like it's over with. It's quite a shame. And the writers and the showrunner think this is all funny and everything. And they think this is so cool. And so many brainwashed fans who love CBS Trek think, oh, this is just a way for her character to go and blah, 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 blah. No, if you are a true Star Trek fan, if you are a true 7 of 9 fan, if you are a true Gene Roddenberry fan, if you are a true Voyager fan, then you know that this path that she went through is wrong. But everybody's like, oh, but she's so awesome now because she fights people and kills people. Then you are not a true Star Trek fan, in my opinion, because you know exactly what Star Trek is about and the message it is supposed to send. And this right here is not that message and everything. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.